You're listening to the Shit You Can't Make Up podcast, a conversation with friends, hosted by Marisol Sanchez.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. I have a new friend to introduce to all of you, all the way from Raleigh.
Yeah.
Grant Sheffield.
That's right.
Okay. So I'm going to tell him a little bit how we met, because I think that's the cool.
Most definitely.
Okay. We met through social media.
Yeah.
So I started, and this is what I think was the coolest thing was, you contacted me and you started just giving me advice, which I'm 43. So social media is like,
Yeah. It's not really what you're into. It's annoying, probably.
Yeah, I was like, it felt like a part-time job that I didn't really want to participate in.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you started giving me help, and you're like, you need to do this. And then and every day it was like a little motivational, like, do this, go on Snap and do that. And
yeah.
It's like, oh. And as soon as I started doing it, I started getting more and more followers. And I was like, well, shit, that's awesome. So, so thank you for that.
Yeah,
and,
the likes matter.
I know, I hate that though, but I mean, I appreciate it, and it's a performance indicator. You know, it's something that in this world, it's used as a metrics, but it's weird. You know, it's like weird to look for people to like your shit.
It's kind of gross being a human.
Yeah.
Doing things like that. Like, you need the likes, but you hate that you need them.
Yeah. And you're a comedian, so this is like super important to you.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm all in.
So which social media platforms do you use?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter's not as much as I need to. Of course, Snapchat. Okay. So I use all of them. Funny
that you would say, of course, Snapchat. See, I'm 40. So the generational difference is I have Twitter, but I don't really use it. I mean, I post my stuff across all the media platforms, but, I don't really tweet, you know, but I read a lot of tweets. I consume it probably a lot. And, Instagram's my favorite, I think.
Of course.
Facebook I like, but I have a weird relationship with Facebook.
Why is that?
Because my private Facebook page, I don't talk about any of this. I don't do the podcast, the blog. I rarely mention it's, you know, I don't like to ask my own friends to read it. Like if they stumble upon it and read it, awesome. Like one friend, she wrote something once, and I think it was about politics, and I'm like, oh my God, I wrote a blog about this. And I felt so like swarmy. She's like, oh yeah. And she shared it with her, but I wasn't asking her to. It was just...
that's the best. Sometimes people will talk to me in conversation like, oh, when's your next show? And I just go all in. I got a show this day. It's going to be this time. I'll be here. Bring all your friends.
Yeah. Well, see, so there's that page, and then there's the Marisol's podcast and blog page, or blog and podcast. I'm not really even fucking sure. I've changed that name so many times.
Right.
And that one is where I'm kind of on more, you know, and I love memes. I love memes. I'm all in on memes.
I used to hate them.
Really?
I used to hate them. Like around 2010, 11, that was peak meme year. I would see them every single day. And I was like, no one even posts. No one puts up cat photos like they used to or any shit like that. Now I send them out every single day, and it's so disgusting.
Oh, really? See, I love it. It's like almost part of my morning routine, which is I look for a meme that's going to make me laugh, or 90% of the time make me laugh. Sometimes if I'm in a, you know, certain mood, whatever, like I have a strong emotion to.
Right.
I just love memes. I think it's a whole new way to communicate.
Right.
To laugh. I mean, there's some funny shit out there.
Don't you kind of feel like a meme is pretty much just letting everybody know how dumb we've gotten, that we can't even say how we feel? Like this picture, that's me. That's what memes are.
I see that point, but I don't know. I'm a fan. I see it more as like another way to communicate your feelings, which I think generally people are not great at.
True. Real good motivational quotes come through memes, so I like those. Yeah. Those are pretty good.
Yeah.
But not memes you've seen 10,000 times already on Facebook. I hate those.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. I could see it both ways. I think that's why I like Instagram the most.
Yeah.
So, but see, I have teenagers, and my teenagers, my specific teenager criticizes my social media game every single day. Every single day. Oh, yeah. I'm a complete mortification that I'm on Snapchat. Like she just not a fan.
Well, that's good that you're already on Snapchat, because people in your age demographic, they're not there at all.
Mm-mm.
Because Facebook is pretty much turned to 50 and 60-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is like 25 to 40. Snapchat is probably 13 to 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think I have 2 people in my age group that I correspond with on and I think we all joined just to see what no, this is how it played out in my generation. We all joined, couldn't figure it out.
Right. Of course.
Deleted it.
Yep.
And then now people start doing it. Is it my favorite? No. There is a vanity thing about it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because you get great pictures. I'm not photogenic. Swear to God, I'm not. I'm not fishing for a compliment. My friends can back me up. I have a picture with Neil Brennan.
Okay.
He came down to Wilmington to Dead Crow, where you were to perform a few years ago. I have to get that picture from my friend. I'm horrible at, but anyway, making the point, Snapchat, you can take a good picture.
Yeah,
so.
Most definitely. The filters, they save a lot of lives. Trust me. There are some mud ducks among us.
That's funny. Yeah. So, all right. So thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing the podcast. So my blog this week was on, I'm trying to process my feelings, not so much about Trump.
Yeah.
I think my feelings on that are very clear, if anyone knows me or has read the blog or listened to the podcast. But how I'm starting to really judge people who are still like digging in their heels and like, he's our man. That's where I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I try to like, I really work on not judging people. Like I try. I'm not saying I don't do it, because I don't think you can be human unless you're like, totally evolved.
Right.
Can you not judge? And I'm not anywhere near totally evolved. I'm barely like.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I say, do I even exist? That's something I say.
So I judge, and it's not so much, it's not like I'm looking for people to come out and be like, mea culpa, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, I voted for people. I remember, you're probably too young, the regret I had with Clinton term 2 and the whole Monica Lewinsky thing.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, that was a bitter John Edwards. I mean, there's where I'm like, shit, even Obama. I was a huge Obama first term. Second term, I voted for him.
Yeah.
But, I was appalled by his drone policy.
Right.
More so than Bush. And that was my biggest issue going into those elections. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm judging. Like what me judging people who are digging in their heels now says about me. Like, do I do that?
I can understand that.
Because I do believe, it's a personal belief that when you judge someone else, it's you're saying something about yourself.
Right. It's your own insecurity just coming out. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I see so much on Facebook about like Trump and politics, and I didn't vote for Trump by any means. I probably feel like most Democrats, like after he was elected, like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like people were freaking the fuck out, and it was horrible, but it was a little bit fantastic to watch your friends like just eat it all week long. You're just like, I still gotta go to work tomorrow. Like that's how it was for me. Like it sucked, trust me. But at the same time, a lot of people are like rooting for his downfall. Like we don't live in the fucking country.
Yeah, I was against that. I posted some stuff like that, which was like, when people were hashtagging not my president, my relatives, my closest, friends that were doing that.
Right.
I was against it because I'm like, no, he is.
Most definitely. When Obama won or whatever, and I saw people put not my president, I was just watching to see what they posted 4 years later when Trump won. And I kind of went back to their Twitter and all that stuff. And it was just a shift in dynamic just because of all the egregious things that he said or done. But I don't
know. The only way I can consume information at this point about politics and not like have an anxiety attack or really worry is through comedy. I think the Trump presidency is just like a renaissance.
Oh yeah, SNL made it big. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Melissa McCarthy did Sean Spicer, hey, I mean, she was already great as is, but like every week you were watching, you had to watch it.
Yeah. Hold on. If you notice a difference in our sound quality, I have fancy new technology that I am learning how to handle. So, okay. Yeah, I think comedians, did you see the Jimmy Kimmel?
I didn't. I heard about it. One of my friends was telling me about it. I hadn't seen it though.
He did for I don't know if we want to say Obamacare as much as healthcare, the conversation on healthcare.
Right.
But he comes out and he tells a story about his recently born son has a medical condition, and he's tearing up, and I have a child who at, I believe, 12 weeks, we learned how to have brain surgery at Duke.
Right.
And so if you have a child, or if you had a child who's been in a situation like that where the doctors come in and scare the shit out of you,
right,
you just instantly are just drawn into his dialogue. And he starts off, I think, pretty brilliantly saying that it ends with a good story. The story ends well. But basically, the child had a heart condition, and he's like, look, no one's child should die because they don't have health care.
Fair point.
It's, anyway, it was a great video. But yeah, comedians, 4 years of this, is it going to get too old, do you think?
I'll tell you what I've seen. Whenever I see some stand-up comics do jokes about Trump, the first 2 weeks, they were the best jokes I had ever heard. Now, what are we in May now or something like that? Mm-hmm. I can't stand to hear another joke with Donald Trump in it because there's nothing new to talk about. Yeah, he's going to say something every week that's going to be a little punchline, but it's not a big overarching thing where I'm like, oh, that's a really smart joke. Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to get old, and it's already old for me because I see it every single night I'm doing stand-up.
Yeah. Well, we've chatted. I said I'm a huge fan of comedy, and there's a local comedy club here, Dead Crow Comedy, that you're going to go to tonight.
Yep, I'll be there.
And when I went after the election a few times, I did laugh. But what I have found living here in Wilmington, North Carolina, where it went red, most people voted for Trump, is I cringe. I just cringe when they start to bring it up because, not maybe exclusively, but it feels like people just get defensive. And then if there's a heckler, which I don't know if I can't stand hecklers.
Yeah. I think the reason why the whole thing with politics bothers people because comedy is supposed to be a form of escapism. Mm-hmm. And then we talk about like a real subject that is like still really deep in your mind. You can still be kind of like, I don't want to talk about this or think about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, can we talk about hecklers?
Yeah, for sure.
God, they're so annoying.
Yeah, trust me, I know.
I've been to like 2 shows, I think 3 shows recently, and you can always tell. I can always tell you, I spot who it's going to be just like before the first comedian comes on,
right?
Because they're talking just a little bit loud, they're a little bit intoxicated,
of course,
and their energy is all me. Like, look at me. Someone did not give me enough attention in life, so here I am at a comedy club.
For sure,
that's the vibe I get.
Most definitely.
It's cringe. It's cringing to watch. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't even enjoy it when comedians shut them down. Like, I just don't.
Right. You just rather watch the show, not any interruption at all. And I can understand that. I mean, there's been times where I might be on stage and somebody will come on stage.
On stage?
On stage. That's happened before.
I body checked them.
It's one of those situations where it's more weird and frustrating at the same time, so you don't know how to react. So the guy got off the stage and it was fine, but like after the show, I was like, listen, dude, if that would have happened any other time, it would have been me and you. But, stuff like that happens. You'll get heckled from time to time. Some drunk blonde white girls will be drinking and they'll be all messed up and they'll start singing songs over your jokes. And
it's so rude.
Yeah.
So rude. My teenage daughter, she loves comedy. She's super funny. Not that I think, but anyway, when she turned 15, she's able to go to Dead Crow if I go with her. So I've taken her to a few shows, and I think actually it's been with her that we've been sitting right next to the hecklers, and we're both just like, please stop, you're embarrassing yourself.
It's pretty much like the kid talking during class. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. It's like I said, I feel like, okay, somewhere in your life, in your past, you were not given enough attention,
right?
And we're not going to fix that problem tonight. That's what I feel like going over there and saying. Of course, I don't. I make no eye contact.
Be as safe as possible at a comedy club.
No. How do you deal with them? Do you engage them or do you ignore them?
It really depends on the situation. A lot of times I try to ignore them because I'm really trying to work through material, trying to keep the crowd into it, because you don't know what might have happened before you got on stage. Like, the person in front of you, they might have ate it, and trust me, I've eaten it plenty of times on stage. And then the person after you might be like a bigger name or something like that, and you don't want to bomb in front of them, so you just keep doing your jokes. But typically I'll ignore it. If I feel like it's disrupting the show enough where I can see it in the crowd, that I like rolling their eyes or waiting for me to make a comment, then I'll say something and I'll go like right back into the jokes, like maybe not even 10 seconds later.
Yeah, I don't know how I would deal with it. I think, that's probably why I don't do it. So what's your favorite thing about being a comedian?
Favorite thing? I would probably say it helps me be a lot more self-aware. Of course, I like telling jokes and making people laugh, but it really makes me in touch with everything that surrounds me.
I could see it. I love comedians. Like, I've read books about them. I've watched documentaries about them. Richard Pryor.
Definitely.
I feel not as I'm not a comedian by any stretch of the imagination, but kinship to them, because obviously if you've read the blog or...
Yeah, you're a writer. Hands down, you're a writer.
I just like to self-process.
Yep.
I like to figure my shit out. I like to talk about myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's comedians do too. Like Neil Brennan, he's one of my favorite comedians. Yeah. And he just did you watch the
Netflix?
The 3-mic one?
Awesome.
Holy shit.
Awesome.
And that level of vulnerability that he just threw his shit out there like that. I love that. So, so that's where, I feel a kinship to. And then, so to your point, it's like, I love the self-analysis.
Yeah.
And that's the comedy that I prefer, where like you can see they're working through some shit. You know, and they're trying to figure it out. And I think that's wonderful. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen comments go up and they're talking about like deep, like personal stuff. And then afterwards, like other comments were like, I never would have done that. I never would have tried that. Yeah. And I have friends who are comics who've maybe they've been doing for a few months, they have jokes. I'm like, dude, even I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, like I just went, was it last week and I told you I went to okay. Yeah. I'm horrible at, details. And they had, I was texting or whatever, social media, direct messaging, whatever the medium we were using. Cause there was this, I don't like how comedy clubs don't let you share your social media information. I think that's BS, because if I like a comedian, I want to let them know. And it's taking me an extra fucking 10 minutes to find you guys.
Right.
I don't know. Why do they do that?
I would probably say the only thing I can really say is they probably more so want to promote the club. Of course, those comics are going to like come and go. But of course, if you just come into the comic after the show, like, hey, can I follow you on Snapchat, Instagram, whatever, 100% of the time they're going to tell you how you can find them. I
know, but that's the thing. I don't like going afterwards and talking to the comics, because I've done that like once or twice. And it's just I'm not comfortable. It's I'm usually sober during these things. Like I enjoy. I'm a connoisseur of. Did I just say I'm a connoisseur?
You did say you're a connoisseur of comedy.
Good thing I can edit this, or hopefully. I hope we're recording. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it feels weird to me, because either I feel like they think I'm hitting on them, which I think only happened once.
Okay.
No, more. But I don't want to be like what do they call it? There must be a name for the women.
You think you would be like a groupie or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I don't want to come off like that. So.
I don't think that most comics really mind. If anything, we invite people to come and speak to us after the show because we, believe it or not, we do kind of want to hear your feedback. We just don't want you to tell us what to do to a joke. Oh, that's the worst.
I wouldn't. Ever.
I hate when somebody's like, well, I like this joke, but maybe you can do this. Were you with me those, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks I was working this joke and it bombed and you saw it good one time? I'm not going to change the joke.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that's funny. That's presumptuous.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, no, I would never think to do that. There was one comic, the first comic that came on. See, I wish I knew their names because I would totally say it. He had really good, and I'm not trying to critique them. I'm just here's my thoughts. He was really good. You could just tell he needed practice.
Right.
You know, like there's anything is you have to practice to get better at.
Definitely.
And, but he was interesting. Then the one that I told you about, the one that was he's a paraplegic.
Right.
Killed it.
Yep.
He was my favorite of the night.
Most definitely. One of my favorite comics.
He was just, he's one I would have wanted to go and say something to.
Yeah.
Or find and I never found him. Did you ever find him?
Yep.
Okay. And say, hey, I love the shit out of your set.
Right.
And then the headliner, he was funny too. And I was impressed by him because to follow the paraplegic, I don't mean to refer to him as paraplegic.
Right. That's fine.
I thought would be hard.
Yeah.
You know, but, and a lot of bits were about suicide.
Right.
Which is a whole new, like, between that 13 Reasons Why shit.
Yeah.
It's like in the sphere of discussions constantly. It's getting, I'm hearing it from a lot of kid stuff, and it's like, you know, you could learn about something, you can consume it, and not make it
most
your
definitely.
reality.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of jokes as of now are kind of like based in something about like suicide or depression. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of those jokes.
Yeah.
In the last year or so, probably.
Yeah. And he, you know, I thought he had this really brilliant piece where he said, you know, people come up to him after the show and say you shouldn't joke about suicide because, you know, XYZ, I know, committed suicide.
Right.
And he was like, well, if XYZ had been in the audience and he could identify with me, maybe he wouldn't have committed suicide. And I thought that was brilliant because I do think, you know, sometimes I get slack about, you know, if I get depressed and I write about it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? When I write about it, those are the ones that, when I write from a place of vulnerability, that's the ones I get the most connections with.
Most definitely. Like I have a joke where I talk with this girl I knew in high school who had one leg. I have a joke about that. And it sounds like a rough, ugly joke. And the joke is really silly and absurd. But one time I was doing the joke and there was somebody in the audience who had one arm or something like that. And I still did the joke. I powered through. Because in my head, I was like, maybe this isn't the best move. Because this guy might say something after the show. He said nothing. He was actually laughing during the joke. Because it's like, the joke came from a real place. Mm-hmm. So he could kind of tell I wasn't making fun of a situation. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah.
That's the thing about comedians, and I think probably about people that write as well, is it's so easy to offend people. But I've kind of let that shit go. I don't worry about that anymore because if you know me, if you read my stuff for a while, my intention is never to hurt anyone's feelings. I get no pleasure out of hurting anyone. So that's not my...
Right.
So if you get offended, that's on you. Most
definitely. I mean, I feel like people have started to find a reason to be upset. Mm-hmm. Just go to Yahoo, go to their website, look at all the headlines. If somebody, such and such said this, you click on it, it's like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, yeah.
It was taken out of context.
Yeah. All right, I want to talk to you about something.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because not only are you a comedian, you're black.
Yeah, that is right. I am black. As far as I know, nothing's changed.
Grant, will you be my token black friend? Because I don't have too many black friends.
Yeah.
I did. I used to. I'm from Miami.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. You have plenty of black friends if you were Miami.
Yeah, but in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yep. Hard to find.
It was like 1 year. My kids were not teenagers quite yet. And I was just like, Jesus, none of us have black friends. Not my kids.
Yeah.
It's like okay. So
it's a white society.
It's a white society. This is something I stumbled upon a couple months ago. I don't know if you saw the headlines. It was something like 14 DC black girls had disappeared.
Right.
It wasn't and I remember getting pissed off, and I did post something about that. Let me backtrack and give some info. So there was I don't know if it was a real story or not, and I'm not going to go back to look at it. So Google yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was a headline that said 14 young black girls had disappeared. And then if you read the article, it alluded to more, like 500 over, I don't know, 6 months to a year in the DC area. And my outrage came that if there were 14 white girls missing, that shit would be splashed across everywhere.
Most definitely.
So in that, like when I was reading into that, I came across this thing called Black Facebook.
Okay. This is news to me, so go on.
Okay, but basically, the way I understood it is black people and have this whole other, what things that are not in the mainstream media or not mainstream, or I'm not explaining it correctly. Like Nicki Minaj and some other rapper are in a beef and throwing diss tracks at each other.
Right.
My friends and I have no idea that's going on. That's an alternate universe.
And I'm getting text messages about it all day.
So that there's like the Black Facebook reference was like, you guys have this whole other thing going on that we know nothing about.
Yeah.
Like it's not, we're not talking politics. We're not talking like all Black Lives Matter, which, we could have a whole discussion on that. But that there's just this whole world. So
Most definitely. I follow this thing on Twitter called NBC Black, and it's just like all black news of like what black people are doing. It's amazing. I came across it about maybe 3 months ago. It's really the only reason I get on Twitter. It's just like, oh, what's happening to NBC Black today?
NBC Black. I gotta check that out. That's funny.
And then there's one that's called NBC Asian, and it's great. I'll see like what Asian producers are doing in LA, and I mean, it doesn't really connect with me that much, but I'll still read it. I mean, just for the hell of it. But yeah, there's maybe that's not a good word. I would say maybe there's like a subculture, I guess, in social media for black people.
Okay.
Like black Twitter, black Instagram. It gets kind of ridiculous.
I think that's awesome though. It just validates for me that I know so little. You know, if you think you know something 100%, the world just keeps adding.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Things. Yeah, that. It made me sit there and think about it. Like, oh, they have this whole.
Yeah, I was just reading a thing just before we started this on Facebook. My friend shared a thing about how like black TV show sitcoms aren't on Netflix. I was like, holy shit, Living Single's not up there.
Wait, say that again?
Like black sitcoms, like they're not on Netflix. There aren't a lot of them. Like Living Single's one.
What's the one? Yeah, 227.
Yep. You won't find those, but you'll find MASH. So,
is there a black Netflix?
No, not that I know of.
$1 million idea.
There it is. I like it.
Let's get on it. Let's get on that. That's funny. All right, so I like to end these with a shit you can't make up story. If I have someone new on the podcast, so I'm sure you have. I think I can edit out my dog barking in the background.
Yeah.
Cross your fingers.
Yeah, hopefully.
Tell me a shit you can't make up story.
Okay. Let's see. I went to Puerto Rico about maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago now. Went by myself. I like to travel by myself whenever I go somewhere. I'll just book a flight and I'll just go.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I booked the flight to Puerto Rico, got my little rental car. It was like a beat up Ford Fiesta. I'm driving it down the highway and it starts to tick a little bit. And I was like, maybe it's nothing. I probably go like another half a mile and it's ticking even harder now. I pull over on the side of the road and it's in Puerto Rico, the lanes in the highway, like people don't signal at all. They just merge all the way over.
I call that intuitional driving.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. They were going like probably 85 miles an hour, just flying in and out. I'm pulling over and it's just a torrential downpour just started. Because of course, in tropical places, it can rain a drop of a hat. So it started raining. I called the people. I think it was like Priceline or something like that. And they're like, yeah, maybe we need to get an oil change on that car. I was like, oh yeah. Maybe you find that out before I rent the car. So they're like, see if you can get to the closest landmark. So it was like some school or whatever. So I pulled into the parking lot. this guy, he's like, hey, man, you can't be here. And like, for fun, I made it like a race thing. I was like, why is it because I'm black? He's like, no. I was like, you don't have a permit. I was like, okay, good point. And then like I called and I had to get the car switched out to a guy. It took him like maybe 3 hours. I'm sitting in this random school parking lot with a broke down car in Puerto Rico. And I was like, I wish I had some help right now. All my friends are 1,000 miles away. So yeah, that's something that happened when I was in Puerto Rico. Not to mention the thing with the chickens crossing the road, that's real in some places. People don't know that shit's real.
Yeah.
Like I went down the wrong road and like there was like a chicken crossing the road and there was like guys selling juice pouches on the side of the road and bananas and all this. So of course I got some bananas.
Well, I'm a big, traveling is one of my passions and I love it. And I think it's important to anyone's education to self-improve, to go, I went to India, I just took my kids to Honduras.
Okay.
And you see things that it just shifts. You see it. I see it in my kids. Anytime they travel with their father as well. When they go somewhere that's not like here, it just changes their perspective. Mm-hmm. It gives them a whole new, idea. I remember, I think we were in the Bahamas and it was very poor where we were driving through, but you saw some kids playing with a soccer ball. And you know what? I'm not even sure if this is a real memory or a commercial.
Even better.
But I feel like it's a real memory. I have to check with my son. But I remember these kids just playing soccer and just joy. Yeah. I'm thinking, wow, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. You don't need a playroom with a table tennis table. I'm in my playroom, in my children's playroom, Barbie Dream House and what is that, a foosball table?
Yeah, most definitely.
God bless, my kids are so freaking lucky.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. Driving. Yeah. So you're going to be performing tonight.
Yep. I'm going to be at Dead Crow tonight. I have a show on May the 13th in Chapel Hill.
Oh, awesome.
It'll be at Imbibe in Chapel Hill. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of local comics, and Chapel Hill's it's a fun place to do stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Just because
of college.
Yeah, college town, everybody's super, super liberal, where it's almost gross. So I kind of like doing those jokes because they easily get offended. So yeah.
Send me your stuff and I'll put it in the, I don't do show notes, but whatever version of.
For sure.
Production I do, post-production, I'll add that. So what's your social media stuff?
Okay. On Instagram, Grant Sheffield 1, Facebook, Grant Sheffield, Twitter, I think it's just Grant Sheffield. Snapchat is This Guy I Know, with no W in that. So yeah.
Do you have a Snapchat character or is it just you?
I think it's just me, I think.
So, I wasn't sure because most of your snaps, that's my dog in the background saying, end this.
Yeah.
Some of your snaps I find funny because it's your day, you do it during the day, during your day job. So
every day.
You know how like Chelsea Handler has a Snapchat ego alter ego?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I wish I had an alter ego. This is just me all the time, unfortunately.
No, it's funny. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
and hopefully I can get this edited and up in the next day. So, and good luck tonight. Hope there's no hecklers.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Thanks for listening. You can check out the blog at www.shityoucan'tmakeup.com. And I will chat with you guys soon. Bye.